Welcome to Behind the Veil. Now, here is your transformational coach, Tammy Hawk.
Okay, so I like to start this out with intention. I like to, first of all, give you my intention, which is always to get you as far and as much healing as possible in the short amount of time that we have together. And then also, I like to ask if there was one thing that I could give you in this call that would make the biggest impact on your life, what would that be?
Oh, you want me to answer that right now?
Yeah.
Uh, well, I guess a validation that I made the right choice to leave the relationship.
Okay.
Because I think last time we spoke, I was telling you we were reconciling, but I gave him a second chance, or actually it was probably like a 20th chance, but he ended up walking out of me for a second time. So now I'm pushing with the divorce.
Okay. Perfect. You want validation. Totally get that. Okay, cool. So talk to me about the significant things in in your marriage that caused this separation, possibly moving to a divorce.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't even recognize who he is like today. I mean, he used to be nice and like giving, and he became a totally different person like the day he left. I mean, we weren't fighting, he came in a really bad mood, and this is after I had dropped like everything to go pick his kids up, pick up their prescriptions, drop them at his parents' house with like no thanks. He comes home like bad mood, dumps the laundry on the beds, he just like fusses, throws some stuff around, and then walks out.
Hmm. So how long have you been married?
Well, just under 3 years, but we've been together close to 8.
8. Okay. And what would you say, what are the biggest issues within your relationship?
I honestly thought we were fine. I was kind of blindsided when he walked out. I thought we were doing relatively okay. I mean, we didn't share bank accounts or anything, but he was in debt that I didn't put him in, but maybe that had something to do with his stress. But I mean, he was angry and resentful that I own my own house and I didn't put him on anything as far as that was concerned, which I'm glad I didn't now because I am pushing through the divorce. And if things were in his name, it'd make it significantly harder to put this,
Hmm.
get rid of it. But it was just silly things. Like he would give me reasons like, oh, well, you helped pick out your engagement ring, so that's why the marriage didn't work. And I'm thinking, we're way past that. He served me with prenup papers like 2 days before our legal marriage, before we like signed the papers here in Pittsburgh, before we went to Florida to actually have our church wedding. And
Hmm.
this is after he convinced me not to get my own prenup because I had a lot more to lose. But I ended up not signing it because the reason he gave me was a bogus reason. And it made no sense because he was telling me that, if we got, you get mad at me and I do something bad and we get divorced, you're going to take my kids' things. And I'm thinking, that's ridiculous. Like, that would never do that anyway. But that kind of started the marriage out in a bad tone in my book. And he never
So,
apologized for that or
so
saw
you
me.
in the way you view things, you didn't have any real issues?
No, I don't think we really, I mean, he started fights and stuff. So I guess that would be a real issue. I mean, he seemed to delight in causing conflict in the relationship. And
Okay. So what would
this
these
is his
fights
second
be about?
divorce. Weird stuff. I mean, I guess the 2 weeks before he left, he tried to start a fight by saying I was embarrassed of his job, but I'm thinking that never even came up. We never talked about your job whatsoever. I never said those things. I never thought those things. And that's just what I told him. I didn't play into the fight. And I just said, I don't know where this is coming from because that's never been an issue. And he seemed disappointed that I didn't play into that and try to start an argument out of that.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, because it doesn't really seem like there's any reason, really hard reason for the relationship to dissolve.
I mean, maybe he's cheating. I mean, that's kind of his MO. I mean, maybe I don't know for a fact. I didn't do any research or hire PI or anything, but maybe that's what's going on. I don't know.
Is that, yeah, it sounds like it if there was a major change. So he's like pulling away from you and you're like sitting there like, what happened?
Yeah, I still don't have a. I mean, he left for 9 weeks, was gone for 9 weeks. We saw each other occasionally because he said that we should try dating again to see how that works. And I'm thinking that's weird because we're already married, but okay. We saw each other like a handful of times, and then we were going to therapy, and
Hmm.
our therapist was extremely unprofessional, so I don't even want to get into that. But I mean, he came back for a week on probably I think November the 5th, and then exactly a week later he decided he wasn't going to come back again. No
Mm.
real explanation. I mean, it's just like I'm not. It was just there was nothing for it. I mean, I was kind of like, why? But he said he had to work on himself before he could be in a relationship. And I'm thinking, you got married. Like, why wouldn't you have thought about this, after your first divorce
Hmm.
and gotten the help you needed?
So let me ask you this. If I sat him down and asked him what he believed the issues were in your relationship, what do you think he'd say to me?
Uh, I don't know. Maybe. I honestly don't know because I really didn't think we had many issues. I guess he would just say he didn't feel ownership of the house, I suppose, which is, once again, I think that's kind of silly because he didn't pay a mortgage or anything. It was just he's lived here. But um, I know there was a lack of communication, but I don't really think that was per se. I mean, I guess maybe it was my end too, but the fact is that he got so angry and had so much hostility. He was very hard to talk to because you didn't really know what I didn't know what I could say to him where it would set him off, if I couldn't be really honest in the relationship because his temper was so bad.
Mm. So he had a bad temper, and what did you do to, how did you learn to cope with that?
Uh, I was really depressed. There were some days I just couldn't get out of bed. He didn't recognize it. He name called, belittled, threw things, threatened things. The kids were afraid of him. I had three-step kids. They're terrified of him. He's been abusive with them. He's been abusive with me. So I mean, there really was not it was not easy to live with him.
Okay, so here we go. We're finally getting into it. He's been abusive with you. Explain that to me.
Verbally, emotionally, mentally, like just saying things. He even said like his last words before he walked out the first time was, "Oh, you'll never find anybody as good as I am too." And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, like really? It wouldn't be that hard at this point." I just let him walk out. I mean, there was nothing really to save at that point, and
So
I
like
gave everything.
so
So,
when you say abuse, a lot of and you say name calling, give me some examples.
like, if you want me to like
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah, name calling, like how far did he go?
well, he called me a lazy bitch. He called me like the C word.
Hmm.
Um,
Wow.
I have a disability. I was born with a genetic disease that wasn't discovered till I was 36. It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So it's an interconnective tissue disorder, and my muscles are very, very tight. My body kind of fights that, and I had torn my meniscus. And during the meniscus surgery, the guy took out my meniscus, which he wasn't supposed to. Then he took out my good cartilage and left me bone on bone. So I have a knee issue now of having to partial knee replacement that they're not going to give me till I turn 52. So I mean, I'm trying to get around and do everything I possibly can on my own at the house. So he left me with disabilities to do everything by myself and not even like bother to care. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about him.
So
He even brought the kids back in when he came back the second time. He brought the kids back in and got the kids' hopes back up just to take them back out of that. Like, he's very monstrous, and
mm,
I don't know if he really knows. Like I brought up in therapy, I said I don't really know if you know really how to love anybody because the first marriage he had, he beat her. I found that out after we'd already gotten married. She said that he'd peed on their wedding album when he got drunk, and came home and hit her. He cheated on her, made her look like the victim, but basically the I guess aggressor in the relationship. Like he blamed everything on her, but then it came out, then the truth that it was really more his fault. He would tell us both actually that it was okay for us to go out and sleep with other people. So he did not fight for our relationship. That was one of my biggest issues. Like he said he wasn't jealous of stuff and he didn't care what I did outside the marriage. And I never did. I never did cheat or sleep with anybody else. But that just to me, it's kind of like sunk the marriage into the ground.
yeah, I'm
She
kind of
now his first wife did cheat on him.
now
She
I'm wondering though, I'm wondering about you. Why? Because it sounds like he definitely cheats. Why would you stay with a man who's abusive and hostile and mean and calls you names?
well, it didn't start out that way. For a while it was pretty decent. But I just, and this is gonna sound bad. A lot of my friends said that, they said I was a little picky. And I guess I should have kept being picky, but they said if in order to get married, you kind of have to lower your standards. And I definitely lowered my standards, and that's how I got married. But I mean, we did make vows in front of the church, and there was love there at one time. So I just kept thinking that, maybe if I'd, tried harder, did more, that, maybe he'd change. And
So the abusive behavior didn't start till after you got married?
there was, I guess I would have to say probably yes, I guess to that one, but there were things that happened before the marriage. Was at a phone company in Florida on vacation, and I needed to use this phone to call my parents, and I saw this text message pop through, and I noticed it was from a woman, so I was curious. I obviously opened it up and I read it, And I noticed that he literally was comparing my vagina to his ex's vagina.
Hmm.
That's completely inappropriate. He was sending pictures of his kids to this woman that he barely knew. So I called his ex and told her, and she was like flipping out. And of course,
Hmm.
I was mad too. So both of us were furious with him. Then there was another
Interest.
incident where I was like doing COVID. I was homeschooling his kids, and I don't even think we were engaged at this point. I think we were still dating, but I was helping homeschool his daughters, and it was their first year of school. And he was inappropriately flirting with a woman that was like his mother's age. And that really made me mad. And it was somebody that was his parents are swingers. And I didn't know this after we were married. They own a swingers club, but it was one of the swingers that went to his parents' club that he was flirting with.
Wow.
And he literally said, and I called him out on, he said, "Oh, well, I didn't know that wasn't okay." I'm thinking, we're in a ship. What don't you get about that? That's definitely
Well,
not
I'm
okay.
I'm I'm curious. Okay, if you because we replicate our childhood, if I were to ask you if you look at all your husband's qualities, what is his prototype from your childhood?
You mean like who would he closely resemble?
Yes.
Uh,
Who
well,
had those characteristics from your childhood?
my parents definitely did not, neither did my grandparents. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I
Okay.
mean, I might have dated some questionable people, but most of the people in my past that actually were, even the college guys I dated, they were more men than he is. I was like, I'm married like a man child. Like, like he wants to be mothered. He doesn't have common
Yeah,
sense.
yes, but there's a reason why you picked him.
I honestly don't. I mean, I don't know. I
But
really
no, no, it's okay. I'm not asking you to make sense of it with your conscious mind. We're going to use your subconscious mind because your subconscious mind tracks all of it, knows exactly why you're with him. And so I'm going to have you get nice and comfortable. Do you have your hands free?
Yep, hands are
Yep.
free.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have you get really comfortable and I want you to sit up as straight as possible. Yep. Get yourself some Gatorade. Sit nice straight, and I'm going to ask you to relax your body, close your eyes, and we're just going to get nice and comfortable. So I'm going to have you imagine like this ball, beautiful healing ball of energy right above your head. And it could be any healing color that resonates with you right now. First impression, what color is that?
Blue.
Blue. So I want you to imagine this big blue ball above your head, this healing peaceful, beautiful energy. And I want you to imagine the top of your head like a moon roof and it sort of opens. That's right, it opens up. And as it opens, it allows in this beautiful blue energy. And it fills your entire head as it moves deeper, deeper, deeper on a cellular level, penetrating your brain and your eyes and your ears and your nose. And as it moves down, I want you to just notice that it's causing all of your muscles to just relax, let go, release as it moves down your throat and your neck, to your shoulders, down your arms, to your elbows, your wrists, filling your entire arms with this beautiful blue healing energy, down to your heart center and your abdomen, all the way down to your hips, moving down to your knees and shooting out your toes. And I want you to take a deep breath in. And as you exhale out, I want you to move that blue energy to completely surround your body like a big bubble around your body. That's right. Knowing that you could feel this safety, this sweet, this relaxing energy completely saturating your entire body. With each beat of your heart and each breath that you take, allowing it to go even deeper, deeper and deeper still. And as long as you're in this healing bubble, what you'll recognize and notice and witness is that you feel safe. You feel completely loved. You feel just this peaceful, beautiful state. And as you're feeling into this healing state, I'm going to have you go back to what you were talking about earlier when you were describing what it's like at the darkest moments to live with your husband, how you feel when you find out he's talking to women, when you've heard about him possibly cheating, when he's been violent or abusive, I want you to recognize there's a place in your body where you feel those emotions. And first impression, I'd like you to take your hand and place it on that area where those emotions stem from. And first impression, what color is that?
They black.
Black. Okay, I want you to go into that black, focus on that black, and I want you to notice that projecting out from that black spot in front of your body is a picture. And this picture, as you allow it to get clearer and clearer, you notice that it is the first time you felt those emotions. I want you to go ahead and allow that picture to get clear, crystal clear, so that you know exactly what memory it's pulling up for you. Tell me when you've got it.
Think I have it?
Okay, go ahead and describe to me what's happening in this image.
Well, like I said, it would have to be the text messages I saw, and even text messages to his ex were very questionable sometimes. Like he would hide them from me and not tell me about them.
Is there a particular time where it was the most hurtful? Keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess him walking out would have been the most hurtful thing because I guess I didn't see it coming, but
Okay, so let's go to that moment in time. And I want you to allow that image to get clear. And I want you to recognize and see you're going to describe what's going on in the picture. What's happening? How are you feeling? Where are you? Describe it as best you can.
well, I was feeling stressed out because I had just driven and basically been in the car for 4 hours of gridlock traffic doing his errands. And I had my phone catch fire that day too on the way to get the kids. And so I was feeling stressed out and I was sitting on the bed when I got home and he came up and was fussy and threw like a dirty laundry basket on the bed and just started in and started yelling and acting crazy. Then he just walked out.
And when you see yourself, witness yourself as a third party, I want you to see what you're feeling in this image. Notice that big black bubble around you in this image. And I want you to go ahead and walk into that black bubble with yourself in that moment. And I want you to feel what she's feeling. Could you describe it for me?
Confusion, hurt, anger, loss, maybe hope because I was hoping he'd come back.
What else?
I think that's it. I mean, a lot of confusion because I didn't really know. Like, I mean, he was walked out before, but he's always come back. And this time he didn't come back and he ghosted me for like days. So I really didn't know where he went. I assumed he would go to the bar and drink then come home, but he did not. So
Okay, so I want you to tap into the emotions you're feeling in this moment. The confusion, the hurt, the loss that's in that black bubble. And I want you to,
maybe some numbness, I guess, because I was just like completely numb for a few days, like kind of just, it was like very surreal that was even happening.
mhm. So when you go to those emotions that you're feeling in this moment, I want you to recognize and notice that there is a memory of the earliest time you felt these emotions. Can you identify on the screen of your mind the first time, the first event where you experienced all these emotions at once? Confusion, hurt, loss, numb.
Probably when I found out he was talking to other women behind my back, that ones he even barely knew.
Okay. I want you to hop into that moment. Was there a moment in particular when you found this out and all those emotions came flooding in?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be the text message he sent to that woman about, comparing our stuff,
And is there a memory that goes even further back than that, where you felt confused, hurt, lost, numb?
No, I mean, I caught him in lies before. Like when we first started dating, he was still living with, even though he was separated, he was letting her live with him because she didn't have a place to go at the time. And so he gave her like a time to be able to leave. But I know he had lied about her not going to work one night. And I found out that she was actually at the house with him and she didn't go to work like he had said.
Is there a time even earlier,
No,
even before him, where you felt hurt and confused and lost and numb?
I guess I had a college boyfriend kind of sort of do the same thing. And I
Hmm.
wasn't really sure why, but
Can you go even further back?
no, because most of my relationships were pretty good. I didn't really have too many cheaters, just a few.
So, if I ask you to identify a point in your childhood where you felt these emotions of confusion, hurt, loss, and numb, you have nothing, no memory.
I mean, I got bullied when I was like very little by my so-called best friend, but that was a really long time ago. That's probably from,
Okay, so can we go back to a particular time that was the most painful for you and let that image get clear in your mind? The most painful time. Do you have it?
yes, that would have been eighth grade.
Okay, eighth grade. Okay, so I want you to allow the picture to get nice and clear. The moment you felt confused, hurt, loss, and numb. And I want you to go ahead and describe, are you alone or with someone else?
You mean alone when I felt those things, or
Yeah, as you allow the picture to get clearer, I want you to describe what's in the picture.
well, my mom was also a school teacher, so she didn't want me to go to the school she was teaching at, and it was a smaller town, so she had me stay in a private school at that point in time. And they had just added like an eighth grade, and all my friends were going to public school. And so there was only six people in the class, including me. And these girls were like, I had three girls in the class and two guys. The two guys didn't get along, and they were really quiet, so I wasn't really friends with them. And it started out that I was friends with the girls, but then one of the cut out this one from the group and be mean to her, and I refused to do it. So they turned on me and didn't talk to me for the whole year.
Was there a particular time that was most upsetting?
Yeah, I had to share a room with those three going to a field trip to DC, and that was miserable.
hmm Can you explain, is there a particular scene, one snapshot, one scene that you can identify as being particularly traumatic?
Yeah, all three of them were sitting in the same bed because they didn't want to share a bed with me,
Hmm.
which was fine with me because I got the whole bed to myself. But I mean, it still was just kind of vindictive, petty, childish. I mean, it was just kind of unexpected that they all were that.
Can you pull up the moment that that happened, that you felt the pain from that?
Well, the moment I was in the moment, it was like on the field trip itself, like when they were all like kind of ganging up on me in that room.
Okay. I want you to describe it and explain it as best you can.
There wasn't too much going on. We were just in the room and they were like writing in their little journals, and I was just reading a magazine because there wasn't anything else to do.
Okay. So I want you to kind of see yourself in that room with those girls. And I want you to recognize that black bubble around your young eighth grade self. And I want you to go ahead and just like picture threading a needle. I want you to move through that black bubble with that younger self. And I want you to feel her emotions with her, knowing that our emotions get trapped in our bodies when we do not allow ourselves to fully emote them, fully express them. So I want you to move into that bubble with her, and I want you to feel her feelings with her, for her, as her. In fact, I want you to scoop her up in your arms. What is she feeling right now in this moment?
I guess comfort and safety if I'm scooping myself up.
Mm-hmm. Did you notice her facial expression changed when you
Yeah,
did that?
relief.
What's that?
Relief.
Relief. What does she need to hear from you right now in this moment?
That no matter how bad things get, they will always be better.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Um, that in the long run I'll be stronger.
Mm-hmm. What else?
That I mean, it's only a brief moment in time. That was, just it was terrible at the time, but that, life is too short to be like, that kind of pettiness, and it'll be like over in a short period of time.
Yeah, but the thing is we feel what we feel, and we can't talk ourselves out of that. You have that perspective now. In fact, why don't you share that perspective with her? I want you to tell her that you've come all the way back from the future to be with her in this moment. That was a painful moment. I want you to allow it to be okay to feel the pain. I want you to be there in that moment with her, knowing that she's still within you feeling that pain because she wasn't able to fully express all of her emotions. I want you to allow her to feel it through you because every age you've ever been still resides within you. And all the pain that you've carried with you from this point on still resides in you. And this is your opportunity to unpack it, to emote it, to allow it to move out of your body. And the only way you could do that is by feeling it fully. So I know you want to logically explain this away to her, but I want you to allow her to feel this pain, to transmute this pain. The bubble around her, did it change colors at all?
Maybe a little,
What color is it now?
maybe purple,
Purple? Beautiful. And what does that purple feel like?
kind of like escape.
Mm-hmm. What do you think she needs to hear from you right now in this moment that would help her moving forward in her life? What kind of wisdom can you give her?
I guess just the stuff I already said, like, like these kind of things will strengthen you in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take the high road, you've done everything you could, then you're a better person for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Can,
I did. I mean, I didn't respond to any of their bullying the
could
entire
you
year.
could you tell her how wonderful she is? That she's perfect exactly how she is? That there's nothing she needs to change or do differently? That she is so lovable, so loving? Can you tell her how perfect she is? Can you tell her how much she means to you? Can you tell her that any time that she needs you, that you'll be here for her? What else does she need to hear from you?
I mean, that was a nice summation of it.
Yeah. What color is the bubble now?
Maybe like an orangey pink.
Did she believe all those things you just said to her about how amazing she is?
Yeah, for the most part.
Can you ask her what it would take for her to believe it fully?
Well, I would have believed it probably back then. Now it'd be harder to believe just because you have someone call you names and treat you badly, so you don't really believe that.
Well, this is where she gets to choose what she's going to believe. And because we're here with her in this moment right now, and because she still exists, you get to have that conversation with her and build the trust. Why would she believe someone else other than you?
I suppose back then I would not have, but self-doubt,
Mm-hmm. What would it take for her to believe you over them?
well, nothing particularly in that moment. If we're going back to that particular time, nothing, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was, really good and loyal friend, so it was kind of their loss for not wanting to be friends in the first place and pulling that.
And this color that she's in now, you said it was an orangey pink, right? How does that feel?
And it feels good.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I want you to give her a hug goodbye. I want you to tell her that you'll come back anytime she needs you, that you'll always be here for her. And if there's some sort of code that she can give you when she needs you, I want you to create that way, that line of communication for you and her. Figure out a way that she gets to send you a signal that she needs you. Sometimes that's a color, sometimes it's an object, an animal, could be anything, but it's a way for her to let you know that she needs you in that moment. Did you figure one out? Yeah,
Yeah, I did. I think so.
perfect. Is there another moment connected to this moment that your younger self needs you? What?
Yeah, I mean, I did go through an issue when I was doing my hours for my master's degree. It was an interesting issue.
Okay. Go ahead and go to that moment.
Hmm.
Tell me about it. Describe it.
I was working in a smaller bereavement center, working with children who had lost like family members and stuff. And my so-called supervisor, who was supposed to be meeting with me weekly and giving me the feedback I needed, was never in the office and she didn't do it. So I was called out on that by my school. And when I asked her if she wouldn't mind doing that, she basically eviscerated me and told me I had a flat effect and just was really mean.
Hmm. Can you see the picture in your mind's eye as this is happening, as you describe it?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I felt once again, blindsided, hurt. She obviously didn't know me because I don't have a flat effect. I'm actually pretty funny once people know me.
So I want you to see yourself in this moment. What color is around you when you're receiving this feedback from her?
Probably red.
Red. Okay, go ahead and be in the red bubble with your younger self and feel those emotions with her. What's coming up for her in that moment?
Anger, confusion, because I don't even know where that came from. So it was nuts. Hurt.
What else?
I think that's it. I mean, I was sad over what she said because I don't really think it was true. I think she just obviously didn't want to like do her job and supervise me.
What are you believing about yourself in this moment?
I didn't really believe her. I just thought it was a really mean thing for her to say. I mean, it was pretty cut and dried. I mean, the school found
Well,
out.
you must have been believing something about yourself or you wouldn't have felt these things.
I felt replaceable because there was another girl that had applied for it after me, and she had a different relationship with this person, was already friends with her, so she wanted me out so she could put the other girl in.
Hmm. So replaceable, you're believing you're replaceable. What else are you believing about yourself?
That's basically it, because that was exactly what the situation was.
Hmm.
I mean, I knew I was good at the job there, and it was crazy that, that even happened.
So then why did you feel so angry, confused, hurt, and sad?
Because she should have just said that she wanted somebody else in the position because she was friends with him instead of just, letting me take that and then treating me poorly the whole time.
Hmm. I want you to hug that younger version of yourself with the red. I want you to move through her emotions. I want you to feel it with her, like like threading a needle. I want you to move through that red bubble. What does she need to feel from you right now?
Honesty and validation.
Can you give that to her?
Hmm.
What else does she need from you right now?
That's pretty much it. I mean,
What does she need to hear from you right now?
that I was excellent at my job and a great diagnostician, and there's nothing you can do to help shitty people.
What can you tell her about who she is? Not at a job, but who she is on much deeper level. She's a divine being, that she's perfect, that she's exactly how she should be, that there's nothing she needs to change or do differently. I want you to tell her everything that she needs to hear from you in this moment. I want you to let her feel her feelings. Don't be scared to feel them because as you feel them, they move out of you. They are no longer a part of you. But if you resist feeling them, they stay in there. If you ignore them, they stay in there. The only way to get them out is to go through them, to feel them. What color is that bubble now?
Pink,
Pink. How does that feel to you?
happy,
Beautiful.
and confident.
Beautiful. Now, as you say goodbye to that version of you, I want you to go ahead and pop up about 30 feet above. That's right, about 30 feet above that moment in time. And as you do, I want you to look down in your mind's eye and see you, that younger version of you, sitting, standing, wherever. And I want you to make your way back to the present moment. That's right, back to the present moment. And as you do, I want you to look down and see that as you're making your way back to the present moment, all the old structures are falling away and crumbling, and new, beautiful structures are forming. Loving, beautiful, new structures. And as you come all the way back to the present moment, I want you to look down at you sitting there in this moment. And I want you to make your way down through the top of your head back into your body, integrating all the different parts of yourself. That's right. Moving down through your head and your shoulders, your chest, and your hips, totally recalibrating. And as your body and your soul are integrating, I want you to feel this new, beautiful blue energy surge through all of your cells, going deeper and deeper and deeper, reestablishing, realigning, reprogramming each cell from all this grid work we just did, allowing all the old to fall away, all the old stuck energy that no longer serves to fall away, and to allow this new beautiful blue energy to reintegrate into your being on a deep cellular level, all the way down to your epigenetics. Realigning, recalibrating. I want you to wiggle your fingers and toes, allowing all your systems to come back online, come back online. Take a deep breath in, exhale out, batting your eyes open when you're ready. How do you feel?
Or centered.
Yeah, you are an extremely logical young lady. Do you know this?
Yes.
Yes, you are so logical that your emotions are almost out of reach for you. What age were you when you stopped letting yourself feel your emotions?
I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, I cried a lot over him leaving, so I guess I was feeling it.
Yeah, but you know that numbness you talked about?
Mm.
Yeah. Um, what I recognize with you is there's a lot of numbness that goes very far back. Yeah. And so there's just a disconnect between you and your emotions. Like it's hard for you to feel them. Do you feel like it's hard for you to feel them?
I never thought so, but maybe sometimes.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's time that you give yourself permission to feel the pain because it's inside of you. And the only way that it can move out is by feeling it. And I feel like you've unplugged from that, the emotions. Is that fair?
Maybe, but if I cry over it, aren't I feeling it?
Yes. Yes, but I'm not saying that you're not letting yourself feel it a little bit, but I'm saying I think you need to give yourself permission to feel more of it. Like
Okay.
you're not giving yourself permission to just fully feel the pain because we don't really want to. It doesn't seem fun to us. But the problem is that when you keep shutting yourself down and not allowing yourself to feel it, it just keeps continuing to get trapped in the body. Right. So the colors, right? Let me explain the colors. When we come into this life, what the first two languages we learn is colors and emotion. And that's until we have language, the words that we have today, that's how we experience life is through color and emotions. And that's why if I ask you to connect with certain emotions and then I ask you to tell me where they're at in the body, you know exactly where they're at, right? So it's all stored in there. So the black, we all have those shadow areas within our body, right? And we also have the ability to remove it from our body so that we can allow more of the colors that we would desire back in. So this is the way, this is how I determine what your specific blockages are. With your husband, for instance, this man that you picked, and he has done some very interesting things. He's why would you attract this particular person? Well, we're like magnets. Human beings, we're magnets. Our belief system is causing everything out pictured in our life, right? So the place I we work on getting to when I take you um back through one of the like the process I just took you through is to try to identify what the beliefs are, because in every traumatic event is where our beliefs come in. What we're believing about life, what we're believing about ourselves in the moment, right? So for
Right.
you couldn't really identify that because you weren't fully tapped into the emotion. You kind of knew through the colors, you knew what you were feeling, but you couldn't allow yourself to feel it. That was the disconnect, right? Is any of this resonating?
It is.
Tell me
And my
what's,
husband came with three really great stepkids, and I would have probably stayed in anything to keep them around because they were amazing.
oh, okay. Interesting. Say that again.
That I would have done anything to keep the kids around
Hmm.
and keep them happy.
Yeah.
And they asked me not, I have no choice at this point but to let go because I mean they asked me not to, but I mean I'm not going to sit around here and wait thinking he may come back. I mean that's not fair to me. I need to get on with things.
Hmm. Yeah. And more than anything, you need to love and adore you. Because if you were loving and adoring you, would you allow this man to treat you like this?
No, but I shouldn't have allowed him to treat the kids the way he did either. I was afraid to report him to the police
Mm. Why?
because he has an extremely violent temper. I didn't know what he would do.
But see, that's what I mean. The fact that you were drawn to someone like that, there's a reason for that. So, meaning, okay, I'll give you my, for instance, when I was doing my trauma work, what we call life commands, they're basically the belief that we chose when we were little kids, right? Before we even pretty much had like words to put with it. But I had a very violent dad. And when I went back to the traumatic events, the belief was I'm not lovable and I'm not important. And that those two beliefs showed up on every single trauma that I went back to. Okay. And then my beliefs that I created around men because he was violent was men hurt me, men scare me, men are violent, men aren't safe. Those, okay? What kind of men do you think I attracted earlier in my life because I had those beliefs?
The abusive ones.
Yes. So it wasn't until I began my healing journey that I could then attract a different kind of man because my belief system was pulling that guy to me. Right? That is how it works. We are literally magnetizing based on our belief system. So obviously, this is like step one. Can't get really all that far with one session. But if I was working with you over 12 weeks or whatnot, what would we begin to depict is the reason why you picked this man.
I may have an idea.
Yeah. What's that?
Well, I lost my virginity to a date rape, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Yes, exactly. That does. In fact, if I knew that, that'd probably be the one time we would work on. But oftentimes, see, your subconscious is always trying to keep you safe. So when I work with the subconscious, I'm kind of saying, hey, let's work with the first thing that you want to deal with, right? And it took us here, right? It said that these first two memories were when you were an adult. And that's what kind of told me that we had a blockage because you weren't able to access the very early emotions. You had, kind of blocked yourself off, which is fine. Your subconscious is just trying to keep you safe, right? However, if we don't go in and start pulling this stuff out little by little, what happens is you're not going to even know why you're attracting certain kind of men. So if we could look at the pattern of all the men you've so with me because of my history, if since I've gone through my healing journey, if a man even raises his voice to me, I'm just like all my triggers sound because of my state, right? All my triggers sound. So for you, you've allowed this man to be awful to you, and we get to figure out why. Why do you feel like you deserve to be treated like that?
I don't know.
Yeah. And
I
also,
mean, I actually thought he was a good guy at first, so I was kind of thinking I had done better, and then over time it just got worse again. So
mhm, yeah. Well, I would love to dig deeper with you to excavate more if you were open to it. Um, I really think this is like the beginning of your healing journey. How old are you?
I just turned 46.
You just turned 46. Well, you look young, girl.
Thank you.
And this is your first marriage?
It is.
Yeah. And so that's another thing too. It's like when we So for me, when I was married in my mid 20s, and that's when all my triggers started happening. When I became a wife and a mom, and all of a sudden, all of my triggers started sounding. And that possibly could be what's happening with you, is like all this stuff that you didn't know you had going on is now coming to the surface. Have you ever worked on healing that date rape?
I did go to therapy for that, yes.
Yes. Do you feel like it helped?
I did at the time, I guess. I mean, it took some time,
Hmm.
and I guess I thought I was past it. I might still have some anger over it, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's still some work to do. Yeah.
yeah.
If I like to ask, when I took you through the process, what were the big things that stood out to you? Were there any like aha moments, any kind of alarms, any like what did you experience?
I mean, it's a hard one to answer. I always try to give people chances. Maybe I shouldn't give people extra chances. Maybe I let people kind of walk all over, makes them too nice at times.
Hmm. Anything else?
Not really. I mean, I guess some of those things like, you just can't, you can move on, but you don't really forget them.
Hmm. Yes and no. You don't forget them, but when you heal them fully, what happens is you're taking the emotional tag off of it. So then you could watch it like a movie almost with a from a very neutral place of just not good or bad. It's just, oh, interesting, right? Um, that's what I notice with my clients is once we've healed that wound, it no longer has the pull. They could go back to that memory and they don't have the sadness, the grief, whatever emotions was tied to it have been like taken out. So that's how you know you've healed the wound. Does that make sense?
So yes,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for letting me walk you through that and to go into your memories with you. I consider that such an honor. And if you're interested in going deeper, um, we could talk about what that would look like. Um, but either way, I think that you get to continue on your healing journey because what I've noticed with my clients is if they don't heal the old wounds, they tend to attract the same of the same kind. Different, the face changes, but the issues don't. They seem to attract, similar patterns. So I just invite you to really start to heal those old wounds. Yeah.
yes.
Well, it was such a pleasure to connect with you, darling.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And when you watch this back, I hope you get a lot out of it too. Because I get a lot out of watching um my processes back.
How am I able to do that?
Well, if you request it, we can send it to you when we launch your episode.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. All right, hun. Well, you have a good night.
Thank you.